Hi Richard, it's great to talk to you now that I've finished my Sounds to Sounds adventure.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And there were three things that I thought about as I was biking down. One is that how you can't see the work that we've done, the sort of absence of our work. If we're doing our job well, you can't see it,
Yep.
especially like on the Hawkden Range as I came through.
Yep.
The place that I felt the most pressure for the Wilding Pines, sort of obvious pressure, was around coming into Twizel and around there. And from our point of view in the South Melbourne Landscape Restoration Trust, we thought that land is tractable and accessible, whereas a lot of ours is just helicopter access. So that seemed, how could we have this pressure but yet have that access?
Yep.
And then the third thing was the strength and continuity of the role that the community groups play.
Yep.
They really make a difference, and they can sort of show leadership show that and have continuity when other things are changing and other people are delivering programs. So as chair of the Wilding Pine Network and as our representative on the governance group for the National Wilding Control Program,
Yep.
you know, what do you think the Wilding Pine Network group can do?
Well, currently funding is probably our biggest issue. So advocacy has got to be right up there. We can certainly support the groups that are out there and we can encourage new groups to start, but the program currently desperately needs more resources because we've reached a point where, I use this analogy, we're driving up the hill in our car, going up really well up the steep hill. We're almost over the top, and once we're on the other side, it's coasting time. Sorry, I'll just kill that.
It's coasting time.
Yeah, coasting time. But unfortunately, we run out of petrol just before we got to the top of the hill, and we're going to run backwards down that hill till we get more petrol. When we do get more petrol in the tank, we're going to get to that place we stopped and find the hill's got longer and steeper. And that's the frustrating thing about it, that we've got community groups, we've got really well-run programs. They're doing fantastic work, and you can see some of the work that's been done on the hills around Coronet Peak and the Wakatuk Basin. And now, as the funding reduces, we lose the Jobs for Nature boost that we had for 4 years. We're at that point where we're going to start running backwards down the hill, just when we're really within sight of our goal. And it's so critical that we've got all the infrastructure in place, we've got all the enthusiasm and the go forward. We need to maintain that momentum to get us to the point where we can complete the program, which for most of us means being able to leave the land without wilding tree risk, or with minimal wilding tree risk that can be handed back to the respective owners or managers of that land. And I feel we're close to that now, and yet and that's what's so frustrating about it. You feel you've started a really big and important job and you'd really like to finish it, but you're being prevented from finishing that job. So I guess that's where I think that the Wilding Pine Network are currently the executive committee and our coordinator are very focused on trying to find ways to increase that funding with the new government that we now have. And so a lot of our effort's going to be at trying to find ways to persuade the new government that this is a job that needs to be finished, and it provides enormous benefits, a lot to the supporters of the new coalition, particularly the farming community, but you've got benefits to the forestry community, to the tourism industry, quite apart from the environmental and biodiversity benefits.
And hydro.
And hydro, that's another massive
irrigation.
one. An irrigation that people can't really put two and two together until all of a sudden the wildings take up so much water out of catchments, as they will in time, in future, and you reduce that water that you need to grow things. So there's a whole raft of things, and I think that the cost benefit analysis that was done I think it was in 2020 or thereabouts, been redone, really tells that story, how critical it is that we continue to invest in this program until we can solve the problem, and then we can walk away from it, at least at the level that we're at. So So from an advocacy point of view, I think that's where the Wilding Pine Network comes in. But at the same time, we'll do our advisory work, we'll hold our annual conference. You know, I mean, that's really important. We tend to forget about it till conference time, but when everybody gets together,
like we did in Queenstown,
like we have in Twice, like we have in Amarama and Cromwell and Hanma, and in Rotorua,
Taupo to come.
That is where I think we get people together. This is the glue that kind of binds everyone together from the politicians, if we can get them to our conference, right down to the grassroots and everything in between, particularly the departments like MPI, DOC, LINS, Department of Defence, and then we get regional councils and we get territorial authorities, local councils involved. Then you've got the grassroots, like the community groups like the Wakatat Wild and Conifer Group, or Central Otago Wild and Conifer Group, the Mackenzie Trust, you know, they were all there and they're all desperately wanting to finish the job that we've started.
Well, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting us.
You're welcome. Yeah.